to Colin Hall from Margery Chamberlain. Now, at the end of the Enfield microphone, which is enclosed with this tape, you ask for comments on the contents of the microphone. And I think it's so frustrating for you to send these things out all over the place to all kinds of people and never know whether they are right or wrong or just bored. So I'll go back to the beginning of my receiving it. It's been around a very long time. And when I lost my sight, I was in touch with Patricia Allbutt, who was part of the set-up round at Cecil Court before the new act came in, and it became a general sort of thing. Anyway, I think had she been around when the microphone started, she would probably have put me onto it, but she might not. I had decided that without sight, I must depend on hearing entirely. It would be my world. And I found Radio 4 very rewarding, giving me information about everything that's going on in the world as far as possible. So when it was suggested to me very vaguely that there was such a thing as the Enfield microphone, I knew nothing about it, didn't particularly want to be parochial. I prefer my news wider spread. But last year, Sidney Hale of BP Scouts Guild was here one evening and spoke to me very seriously about the microphone. And so I said I would have it. Sounds very condescending now, but for that I apologize. I said I would have it, but if I didn't like it, I would let Patricia Allbutt know and not have it any more. So I had an open mind, and yet there was a bit of prejudice. So maybe my comments will be worthwhile. Now, I find it quite excellent. The only thing at first that I did find irritating was the speed at which the readers gave their names. Well, I did speak with Patricia Allbutt about that, and they slowed down, because I didn't think anyone was in that much of a hurry. But as for the content, it's varied, and I think it's right. Now, you said at the end of this last tape, was there too much crime? In these days, I say no. Anybody thinking that a white stick out of doors would protect them against thugs or muggers would be making a great mistake. It would almost be an invitation. And 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was quite a lot about burglaries around here in my neck of the woods. Well, then that just makes one extra careful. So I think that's very important. And then there have been some lovely bits on the history of Enfield. Now, I didn't come here until the war, and I don't think I'd ever even heard of the place. And I found the history of Enfield then so absorbing, and it was during the time of petrol rationing, so one could really walk around and see places. And I became, as most people do who come here accidentally, very attached to Enfield. And so we get that bit of history, widespread, going back, more recent, and it's fascinating. Now, you get bits about little things in court to do with gypsies and whatnot. Between the council and the GLC, I find that absorbing. In fact, I find the whole thing varied and good. And I realize that all of you on it are doing this at the end of a day's work, and this I do admire. And you all sound so enthusiastic. And here's another one. On the radio, and remember, the radio is professional and everybody on it is paid, well paid. And you'll get a question and answer program. Well, that's supposed to be spontaneous, but you can tell it's not, because you can always hear the rustle of the paper as they turn over to see what the next bit is. Now, with your people, there's no rustle of paper. There could be, because they're reading a paper, but that never happens. And so, sometime, if anyone ever has the time, I would like to know how you compile this thing and do it. Right from the time when the paper is read, somebody must edit it. I just can't imagine how it all happens. and then you gather together at one special place to do the actual broadcasting. Colin, I admire it, and I admire all of you. And I'm sorry I'm doing it on this, which is really a waste of your time, but I have no choice. I could type it. That's what Patricia Albert came to teach me, typing. Then I can't read back what I've written, and I live alone that it could be, something that I didn't want to say, or the comma in the wrong place makes the wrong sense. So, please accept this with my very sincere thanks, and a prejudiced person hooked on the Enfield microphone. Good night to you all. I look forward to the next edition, and again, my very sincere gratitude. Margery Chamberlain.